Well, Glenjamin, my dear boy, it's not a matter of whether or not we do give spoilers, but it's a matter of warning the people ahead of time, just so they are warned. The following podcast contains spoilers for The Ladykillers 1955. You have been warned.
Well, I indubitably say, my boy, that it just so happens to be that we will both be reviewing such a film, and conducting so shall be Glenjamin Button of the Pennsylvanian Affairs, and your other host, Miguel Magusto.
I should have gone with the Tom Hanks Southern Ladykillers mint julep accent, because I'm slightly better at that, but still pretty bad at that.
You're very heavy on that accent. For sure.
Yeah, I'm terrible at accents. I believe that we've been clear about that.
We have been always clear about that.
Southern
100%.
accents is the closest accent I have to being a good accent, except for accents I am not allowed to do because I am white.
True.
And those are things that I realized that I could do before I was smart enough to realize I shouldn't do them.
Exactly.
So, how you doing?
I'm not bad, my man. I'm celebrating Father's Day by not hanging out with my father. I celebrated, however, by shaving into a mustache.
Ooh.
Yeah. I'm waiting for my
Okay.
my Nikes to come in, or my
You need your
my Reeboks.
your New
That's
Balances.
what they are. Yeah, my New
Balances.
Balances.
You need high white socks.
Mm-hmm. And don't forget about the jorts.
The jorts with a brown leather belt and a blue, pink, or red polo tucked into the jorts.
Can't forget.
That's
you gotta
what you
always
need.
strap on. Or
That's
I
what
can
you
get the
need.
Crocs.
And the polo is one size too small.
Absolutely.
There you go.
So
that is the
we go.
dad look. I should know because I am now a father.
I saw you wearing it the other day. It looked good.
I will never wear that. You don't spread those rumors about me, Glenjamin.
I apologize.
It's all right. You see any good movies this week?
I saw one with you for sure. I know
You
that
did.
much.
You did. Yeah.
We went to the Colonial Theater and rewatched the movie The Fountain from Darren Aronofsky.
Yes.
it was
And you
the
made us
movie-
get stuck there.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly apologize for
Yeah.
that, and both of our brains. It is the movie that inspired my tattoo on my left arm, as bad as it is. It's supposed to be on purpose. And, overall, such a good movie.
It really is good. That was your first time seeing it in theaters, right?
Mm-hmm. Because
And in
I was
35
only
millimeter.
I was only 13 when it came out, and
Yeah.
this was not my type of film when it came out.
I saw it when it was in theaters in 2006. It was like the first movie that I saw where, like, before that I was all about like what the big movie was, the Chronicles of Narnia, the Marvels, the Saws, all that. And then I watched that movie and I was just like, oh,
This is a thing, and it intrigues me.
movies can be different, fun. Ooh,
Yeah.
I like this. But yeah, and then because you didn't want to be rude, we got stuck listening to a presentation about aging.
Yeah, because what they did was that instead of like letting like 30 seconds to a minute of credits go by before anybody got up,
Nope.
they just immediately jumped into the presentation. And I didn't want us to be the
Immediately
first.
muted that shit, and
Yep.
I had to leave my baby son at home alone with his mom, who's very capable of taking care of him, probably more capable than me of taking care of them.
At least the windows were down for both of them.
Yes.
But yeah, we got
Yes.
stuck there. But other than that, I've just seen. I did watch the remake of the Ladykillers from the Coen Brothers.
Cool.
And then of course Ladykillers. But I'll let you get into the family tree that you were about to have.
Oh boy! So because you mentioned rewatching the Coen Brothers one, the Coen Brothers Ladykillers, I decided you'll find out in a minute. I watched a total of 24 movies. 3 of which were first watches, 21 of which were rewatches. The first one was I rewatched Bo Burnham Inside the last time, the night we recorded our last podcast episode. Still great, still love it. It's a great comedy special.
Absolutely.
Then on Monday morning, I was thinking about when I'm going to be able to watch the remake of Ladykillers, and I was like, you know what? I've been wanting to make a video where I rank all the Coen Brothers movies. So I'm going to rewatch them in chronological order. So I did exactly that. Monday, I watched Blood Simple, Raising Arizona, and Miller's Crossing. Tuesday, I watched Barton Fink, The Hudsucker Proxy, and Fargo. Wednesday, I watched The Big Lebowski, Oh Brother, Where Art Thou, The Man Who Wasn't There. Thursday, I watched Intolerable Cruelty, The Ladykillers, and No Country for Old Men. Then, after that, I went and watched The Fountain with you. Then on Friday, I watched, this was the big day because I wanted to get it done before we recorded this, Burn After Reading, A Serious Man, True Grit, Inside Llewyn Davis, Hail Caesar, and The Ballad of Buster Scruggs. All 6 of those on Friday. It was a day. It was a day.
It does sound like a day and night.
And night, yeah.
Yeah, you went for it.
So yeah, I watch all. I don't know when I'll be able to find time to make that video, but I have ranked them, and I will be making a video ranking them. If you already want to see what I rank them, you can just check out my Letterboxd. Then on Saturday, I went to the theaters because it was when we celebrated Father's Day, and my wife asked me, "What do you want to do for your first Father's Day?" I said, "I want to be by myself."
Understandable.
I'm gonna be that kind of dad that's just like, get away from me. It's a Father's Day. I don't want to spend time with you.
Yeah, mine went to the beach, so
yeah. My kids are gonna appreciate that when they're older.
Oh,
so.
Absolutely.
Or my kid. I don't have more than one, but in the future, if we do have more than one,
unless you're the future Mike now.
Yeah, I'm not. So I watched Edgar Wright's new documentary film, The Sparks Brothers, which is about the band Sparks. And just kind of breaking down how they're like such an influential band, but no one really knows about them, but also everyone knows about them. I guarantee you've heard at least one song from them. Because I have as well. But other than that one song, I didn't know anything about them. The only reason I went and saw this was because of Edgar Wright.
Yeah.
And it's a really good documentary. It does a good job of kind of getting you up to speed with who they are as a band before kind of going into things. And it's kind of just a chronological breakdown of their careers.
Okay.
Really straightforward, but not like overly emotional or anything like some documentaries tend to do, especially about entertainment business.
Yeah.
So it's a really good documentary. I highly suggest it. Even though not all of their music is really my thing, I'm a fan of them because their whole thing was they refused to bend to what studios wanted.
That's good.
Whether or not it hurt their careers, didn't really matter to them. They just wanted to make what they wanted to make, and I commend them for that.
A little independence is nice.
Yes, exactly. And they're also really famous and popular, so it worked out even though they had rough patches at some point.
Yeah.
Then I rewatched Godzilla vs. Kong because it was Father's Day, and I was like, why not? So I rewatched that. We have a video on that. You can see my thoughts. My thoughts are exactly the same. Yeah. So, and then I watched The Ladykillers, which we'll get to in a minute. Then I watched Bong Joon-ho's directorial debut, which was going to, if you selected you wanted to watch a movie with subtitles, this was going to be our film that we were going to watch. Barking Dogs Never Bite. Yeah, it's a really good film. Bong Joon-ho's first film. And
did they ever bite? I'm assuming they didn't.
Well... there's a lot of dog death in it, so
I'm sure you were not happy with that.
I was not happy, but it was also kind of done in like a dark comedic way, and also never a way that made it okay, if that makes sense. What I don't like is when dogs die in movies and it's inconsequential.
Yeah.
The whole plot of the movie is dogs are dying. So if it's the plot, I'm okay with it. If it's just, like in horror movies,
just to kill off a dog. Yeah.
Oh, the dog's dead, so shit's about to get real. No, make it fucking matter, not just
make it alive.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, make it alive.
Make it alive.
Make it warn of the ghosts that are coming. Legitimately, the only thing I hated about The Conjuring was that the dog just up and died without any reason or any mourning or anything. It was just the dog was there, and then the next day it wasn't, and then that's very. That's bad filmmaking. Even if that's how it happened, that's bad filmmaking in my opinion.
Absolutely.
One of the only flaws in the Conjuring movie. But yeah, 24 movies, that's all I really watch.
Just nothing to sniff at.
I will be making that Coen Brothers ranking video at some point. I just need to find time, which is increasingly difficult to do with a child. So
absolutely, understandable.
It's as if that's never happened to anyone on this planet before.
Not me.
But yeah, let's. Do you have any news?
I really don't have anything, honestly.
Me neither.
Not much happened this week.
Me neither. I mean, you told me that Wesley Snipes is going to be possibly
Actually, yeah,
in the
that's a
next
lie.
John
I
Wick.
totally forgot about that. God, I hate the movie news like websites are so saturated in DC stuff. But like,
Oh, yeah.
Donnie Yen was confirmed. Wesley Snipes might be joining, and Hiroyuki Sanada is actually, I think, confirmed as well.
Yeah.
Wesley Snipes, I think, is the only one not confirmed so far. So that's really dope. I'm really excited for the John Wick series.
Definitely.
Because I love them. And more of all those all-star guys, as long as it doesn't turn out like the Expendables or anything like that.
Yeah.
I'm okay
the
with it.
Expendables went a little too overboard
Yeah.
with it. And I think they have a nice balance right now with the John Wick series, but we'll see. They're probably going to bleed that thing dry to the point where you and I stop getting excited for it, which, it's fine.
Yep. Until that day comes, though.
Yeah, until it comes.
I'm loving it.
Yeah.
Because they're very well made, and they're not over the top, crazy, stupid. So I'm still aboard. But other than that, I really don't have anything at all.
Nor do I. So let's get into the Ladykillers.
Studios, inspired creators of the fabulous Lavender Hill mob, now joyfully embark upon the crest of yet another crime wave. Using this sweetly innocent old lady as a bewildered, unsuspecting decoy, the hilariously infamous Alec Guinness prepares a masterstroke of villainy that only he could conjure up and carry through with such demoniacal glee. No plot was ever hatched with such satanic cunning as Guinness and his genial group of merry minstrels hit every high note in this delightfully different entertainment. True artists, every one of them.
The Ladykillers, 5 oddball criminals planning a bank robbery rent rooms on a cul-de-sac from an octogenarian widow under the pretext that they are classical musicians. One thing I did forget to mention, I started watching Mare of Easttown. I didn't say it because I haven't finished it, and I just noticed that listening, even though we're from the area, my accent just got thicker reading that because I've been watching Mare of Easttown. Widow. But anyways, Ladykillers, that's the synopsis. Directed by Alexander McKendrick, written by William Rose, starring Alec Guinness, Cecil Parker, Herbert Lom, Peter Sellers, Danny Green, Jack Warner, Katie Johnson. Oh, I know someone named Katie Johnson, but it's not this Katie Johnson. And
she's famous.
Yeah, she's famous and probably dead. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, why do I always...
Katie.
2 years
Sorry
after
to break it to you.
So the reason this was one of my picks for Glenn to pick last week is because I think I've already said it. I watched 18 of their films in 5 days. I'm a huge Coen Brothers fan. I think their remake of this film, The Ladykillers with Tom Hanks, is criminally underrated.
Very much so.
And I watched this hoping I would see why it is so critically reviled. Although, critics love to compare remakes to the originals. Mm-hmm. But I gotta say, the remake's better.
It is very much better in my opinion.
And that's not to say that this is bad. This is still a good movie. It's a fun movie.
I think it also helps that to us it's more relatable.
Yes,
I mean, sure,
American
we're two
versus
two
English.
white guys, but it's more relatable because we know all of those characters in the new one. We understand they're each one of their backgrounds. We get each backstory. We get more in the remake. It's just a lot more relatable and funnier, in my opinion. But again, it's had over 40 years, 50 years of tuning to develop all that.
Just shy of 50 years, I believe. 2004. So 49 years to tune it. It's just I feel like the pacing and the jokes are just better in the remake. Yes, it might not be as dry and witty, but there wasn't enough here in this one for me to be like, oh yeah, that's that's really witty. It was just kind of like 50s humor, where it was just like slapstick in some parts, and then the rest of it was a little, I don't want to say boring, just very dry. And I usually like dry humor, but
Yeah. Well,
there has to be humor for it.
I think the biggest thing to me that blew my mind is that Peter Sellers is in this, and I didn't barely even notice him. That's how probably the funniest person in this movie was barely even noticed, and I think that was the biggest noticeable thing about this whole thing. It was he definitely could have shined a lot more in this movie.
And he had the weirdest thing was that he had the second straightest character out of the 5 criminals. Obviously, you have Alec Guinness. The one thing I did appreciate is that you could see where each character was with the 2005 one. Obviously, Alec Guinness was Tom Hanks's character.
Yeah.
Then you have hold on one second. Let me just pull up. Then you have Cecil Parker, who played Major Courtney, was obviously he could have either been the Garth Pancake character played by J.K. Simmons, or the general character played by Sima. I saw a little bit of both of them in that. Mainly the general, but the general's also kind of mixed with the Lewis, Mr. Harvey character played by Herbert Lom. Obviously, Danny Green, who played One Round, was the Ryan Hurst character, Lump Hudson, who was the dumb football player in the remake. So there's these correlations about it, and then the odd man out, and that's mainly just because he was such a unique character, was Marlon Wayans as Gawain McSam in the remake. He doesn't really have one that is strictly him. Maybe the Harvey character a little bit, just because of he's the aggressive one.
Yeah, he was more the inside man in the remake, and they didn't really have an inside man in the old one.
Yeah, and Marlon Wayans is just so funny in the remake. So it's kind of that was cool to see the 3 main comparisons, and then you see a little bit of each one. But it's the remake is just, I don't like comparing remakes to the originals, but I was really expecting this to be amazing because of how many people hate the remake, critically at least. It's got a 6.2 on IMDb, which isn't terrible, but it's got a 56 Metacritic score, which is not great, and I think it's even lower on Rotten Tomatoes.
I think for its time, for both movies, and it's, again, you don't want to compare them too much, but for its time, they both had pretty all-star casts. I'm not gonna lie, I haven't heard of most of those other people, but I don't watch old movies that often, so other than Peter Sellers and Alec Guinness, I don't know too many of those other people.
I knew not by name, but I have definitely seen Danny Green in other things. So he was it was a hey, it's that guy kind of thing for me.
Yeah. I mean, both had a great cast. I think the thing with the original is that I felt really anxious most of the time because there was just so much going on. There was so many people talking over each other and just bird noises and just so much going on that it was hard to keep attached to it. Where the other one flowed so much better. The characters were more developed, everything like that. It was just the contrast of times, maybe I don't know how.
No, you're right. Back then, it was maybe 40 years after the commercialization of film, and then 20 years after it really got popular in the 30s is when it started getting it started blowing up.
If this came out in the 70s, this probably would have been fantastic.
Oh yeah, it's just especially with editing, because they had to do cut and splice editing back then. Editing was harder to make things flow. But the Coen brothers are just such masters, and I it's hard for me to talk about this movie without comparing it. You don't want to
keep comparing it, but what's what we've got is that comparison.
Yeah, this I will say is definitely more nefarious than the Coen Brothers one, where the Coen Brothers one is obviously a comedy. other than a few jokes, this one could just be like a action crime thriller in a way. There's a few things like all of them getting in the phone booth when they think something's going wrong.
Yeah.
There's one round falling through the chair and getting stuck in the chair. There's definitely like a few slapstick moments like that, but overall, like the characters, I mean, again, not to compare, J.K. Simmons' character in the remake is Garth Pancake.
Yeah.
Like, the name itself is a joke.
And his girlfriend is Mountain Girl.
Yeah, Mountain Flower or something like
Mountain
that.
Girl.
No, yeah, it is Mountain Girl. You're right. So the Coen brothers did what you should do in a remake, is take what worked in the original and then make it better. And I think that's what they did. And but with this one, if this wasn't a comedy, I think this would have worked better as just a straight thriller than it would have as a comedy.
I think so too.
But they even had like the kind of slapstick sound effects, like when they would get hit in the head, it would just be like boing, and it's just stuff from like the 50s.
Just some Three Stooges stuff going.
Exactly, and it was too few and far between for it to be a real consistent tone throughout. I liked the nefariousness of it, and I kind of wished that it had focused on that instead of trying to make it more humorous, because the humor didn't always work, in my opinion.
Yeah, I think so too, for sure. I just don't know. It was so hard, because I did watch the remake Ladykillers first. So again, it's hard to compare or not compare, but it is what it is. This is also, I didn't know there was an original for a long time until I don't even know how many years ago. So like that one was always like my pride and joy. Like I loved that movie. Yeah. This one, you're right. Like there is that nefarious factor that could have worked so much more if they just kept on that. Maybe not like a totally dark crime, but I mean, I think they tried too much with a little bit of the slapstick for sure. And it didn't just work out most of the time, which kind of hurt. Again, with like the editing for me is like, that's really what set this one apart for me. And I didn't really want to watch it most of the time, because I'm like, there's too much going on in my head. My ears can't take this right now.
Yeah.
But other than that, the plot, it was a great plot. The people were great. I wish Peter Sellers had a little bit more like freedom to do stuff. Like, he probably didn't have that freedom that he had in Doctor Strangelove or anything. But,
I wonder where he was in his, because I mean he's even a little chubbier in this, so I think he might have been relatively new.
I will say, I didn't even notice that was really Alec Guinness for the longest time.
Oh, yeah.
I thought the longest time he was Nosferatu. I was like, that dude looks exactly like Nosferatu, and it's freaking me out.
Except for with the...
And that's what made it even more nefarious. This guy's going to suck this old lady's blood. What the hell?
Yeah. I think Alec Guinness, you can definitely see between his character and Tom Hanks' character where the inspiration comes from, with the teeth and kind of the poshness in comparison to the rest of his group, and that translates over well with Tom Hanks's character. I feel his character could have done more to be humorous. I feel like he was too straight-laced.
Yeah.
Whereas the Tom Hanks character is played straight, but the things he says and does are just so fucking bananas that it becomes satirical unto himself. And really the main humorous character in this is One Round, because of how dumb he is. We won't call him dumb, because he'll kill you if you call him dumb.
Absolutely.
But I was surprised that he had a lot of the comedic moments, and then everyone else was more or less straight, with a few bits in between. But I think it's just a movie that is a great concept. It had enough where I can see before the Coen brothers won how people enjoyed it. But I'm just baffled that the Coen brothers one is not as popular.
Yeah, it got pooped on a lot.
It got pooped on a lot.
Maybe for the time it came out, I'm not too sure.
It's the funny thing is, I think the reason people didn't like the Coen brothers remake version is because the darkness of that comedy was well before its time. Like, people were not as cynical back then as they are now, so people would I think people would love that movie now. And you know, it's just it does such a great job at building the world. Another thing is that the building of the distrust of the police officers towards the old lady was done so much better than Coen Brothers one. Like in the original, it's not so much that she seems like a nuisance. It just seems like they don't believe her. Yeah. Whereas in the Coen Brothers one, she's a nuisance on top of being unbelievable. So it has more effect and more, you know, understanding of when they're just like, oh yeah, you keep the money.
No, you go ahead and do
so
that.
So in the original, when they say you keep the money, you're just like, what did she give you? She acted suspicious last night. Why wouldn't you trust her now?
Yeah, she wasn't as like senile in the old one as the new one. Yeah. It kind of just flipped overnight that they were like, "Oh no, you're kind of kooky." Yeah. Kind of kooky, you know?
Exactly.
But
I did really appreciate this overall. I think it was a cool concept. The ending with the all the dumpings of the bodies on the train, besides the sound effect, I thought was really impressive. But again, more nefarious than comedic. I feel like this would have been better if this was just a straight thriller, and then it'd be more understandable if the Coen brothers took that and then added their dark comedic twist to it, why people didn't like it. But because this was supposed to be a comedy, and then the Coen brothers made a better comedy, it's almost like maybe these people are just jealous that the Coen brothers made something good.
I think so too.
Yeah.
In fact, I'm jealous. How dare they?
I'm jealous every time I see a Coen brothers movie. I'm just like, why am I not you?
Yeah, I mean, I think I'm good as far as, you know, saying.
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, I love the setting. I love the house. I love the fact that the house is like decrepit because of the bombing from World War II. Yeah. And that just hasn't been fixed. I think the setting is by far the best part of the film. And then the characters are still pretty good. It's a decent film. It just doesn't play like a comedy as much as I was hoping it would.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Ready for some judgment?
Ready for some judgment? Honestly, it's hard for me to judge this one if it becomes a shelf boy or not, with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. I liked it. I really, really liked it. And maybe I want to do this because I like the Coen brothers so much more, but I would rather put the Coen brothers Ladykillers on the shelf than this one.
You're kind of taking the words out of my mouth.
Yeah. I think the best way for us to handle this, Glenn, we should respect
rock, paper, scissors.
No, respect where the original came from and put both on the shelf.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I'm glad this movie existed to the point where we could have gotten did obviously.
Yes.
Did get the Coen Brothers Ladykillers. It is a good movie for overall. I don't mean to shitbag on it the whole time.
We've been spoiled.
We have been spoiled. We always are when Coen Brothers decide to do something.
For real. Like I kind of feel bad that I didn't see this first. But I think both films are deserving. There is enough good in here, and obviously the main structure of the story is the main structure of the remake. So I think the only fair thing to do is to put both Ladykillers on the shelf.
Yeah, a little DVD combo pack.
Little DVD combo pack. So unprecedented. First time we have put a non-existent episode film with the remake of the Ladykillers, even though this might as well be one. Just rename it the Ladykillers and the Ladykillers. So both the Ladykillers 1955 and the Ladykillers 2004, directed by our Lord and Saviors Joel and Ethan Coen. They both make it onto the shelf. That was a super thick Delco both there.
That hurt a little bit.
Oh my goodness. Mayor of Easttown, what are you doing to me?
I gotta go get me some Wawa.
Some Wawas, get some water to wash my gullet. Anyway,
Ew.
both the Ladykillers 1955 and the Ladykillers 2004 make it on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. Jesus Christ.
Just get back to watching that right after we're done.
It's because I was on episode 2, and episode 2 had the scene that I drove through. It was the gas station in the heart of Phoenixville on Bridge Street, and I drove through that, so I was just like, oh, this is where my brain's at right now.
I'm proud of you, man. You're famous.
I'm famous for having driven through there after they were done and wrapping everything up. But yeah, so both those films being on the shelf with the likes of Apostle and Handmaiden. That brings us to our plugs, finally. Thank the Lord for this week. My plug, since it's my turn to go first, since it's my week. Jesus Christ, I'm going off the rails.
Yeah.
It's going to be an entire YouTube channel called Geographics. It's essentially this guy. I don't even know his name. Does he have a name? Simon Whistler.
I feel like you're just dropping things. Like your hands are completely filled, and you just keep dropping something.
I got too much Wawa.
There's too much Wawa in my hands.
I got a liter and a half of Deer Park water, and I need to wash down this hoagie. Anyway. Simon Whistler on the YouTube channel Geographics. He talks a lot about volcanoes and geographical things, hence the name Geographics. I feel like he's got another channel as well that's not just about geographical things, but this one specifically is about geographics. I was watching a lot of it today. Talks about volcanoes, earthquakes, etc. Specifically, an episode on there is about Uluru, which is that giant monolithic red rock in Australia that I'm sure everyone has seen. You might not know the name. It's the white people's name is Ayers Rock.
That one.
Yeah, exactly.
That makes sense.
So he talks about the history of that and how old it is, how it was formed, and stuff like that, and how the white people took it away, and then how the Aboriginal tribes of Australia took it back. Good on them. Legally took it back too. It wasn't like a fight or anything.
They just ran up and stole it.
Exactly. So it is the whole channel Geographic has got some great stuff. Got a great one about Krakatoa, but my specific recommendation is for the episode called Uluru, which is Uluru, Australia's mythic monolith, and that is going to be on YouTube on the Geographics YouTube channel.
It's one of the most iconic sites in Australia, perhaps in the world. In the central desert, a vast sandstone monolith rises from an endless flat plain, its red walls changing colour with the shifting sunlight. Taller than the Eiffel Tower, older than the Himalayas, and covering more area than the entire nation of Monaco, it goes by the ancient name of Uluru. Today, it is one of the most sacred places in the entire world.
All right, look at you, you did it. No more dropping things.
Yeah.
Mine's going to be a little bit different. I decided to jump into, after we watched The Fountain, I jumped into like a nice little video explaining everything. I was like, you know what, I want to hear somebody talk about it. I want to hear a review. But that has nothing to do with that at all. But like I just kept going down the reviews and like hidden details like of these different videos and different movies and stuff like that. I came across Hereditary, which we always come back to. Hereditary is such a good movie.
Hereditary is always around us.
And I feel like I might have plugged this one before because it seems familiar. If not, I don't give a toop. I don't even know what toop means. But here we are. My video is insane hidden details in Hereditary that make it one of the creepiest horrors ever on the channel. Heavy spoilers. There's a lot of stuff that even if I did watch this, like it really was interesting to rewatch if I did. There's a lot of like they go into like the details of like payment and like the demon that they like was getting. I'm sorry if you didn't watch the movie. The demon that was kind of like haunting or not haunting or whatever you want to. It was around for the movie, you know. He was chilling. So that was really cool to watch that. So that's going to be my plug.
Welcome to the Heavy Spoilers Show. I'm your host, Definition. In this episode, we're breaking down Hereditary. It's a film that I've never actually covered before on the channel, but it's always been one that I revisited due to all of the things laced throughout it. There's an overall sense of dread and eeriness to the entire work, and the movie is laced with hidden details that really add to its creepiness. Throughout this video, we're going to be going through some of the scariest things in the film that you may have completely missed whilst watching it. There will be heavy spoilers here, so if you haven't had a chance to see the movie yet and don't want anything ruined, then I highly recommend that you turn off now.
Cool. Those are our plugs for this week. That brings us to our assignment for next week. It is Glenjamin's turn. Glenjamin Button,
Yes.
what is our assignment for next week?
Our assignment for this week, this is one neither of us have watched. I honestly don't know too much about it. I saw it was on Amazon Prime. It was either this or something else, and the luck of the draw, I decided, me specifically, nobody else, decided this. We're gonna watch.
Asked me if I wanted a one I've watched or one I haven't watched.
Yeah, instead of asking on the podcast, I figured
Yes.
I'd ask him off of the recording. So we are going to watch The Way Back from 2010. It's PG-13 film. It's got Dragus Bakur, Colin Farrell, Ed Harris, Alexandru Podoshin. I'm assuming that's how you say that. Siberian Gulag escapes travel for... The way the synopsis is laid out hurts my brain. Siberian Gulag escapes... Escapees.
People who have
I
escaped.
am blind.
People who have
Escapees.
escaped.
Now see, that makes so much more sense. Why
Yes.
didn't I ever learn English? Travel 4,000 miles by foot to freedom in India.
Ooh.
That is directed by Peter Weir, written by Slavomir Rivics, the novel. And of course I said all the stars, so there we go.
Sign the confession.
Kindness can kill you. If you are serious about making a run for it, I'm with you.
We must keep going. The snow is blinding us. Don't you see? This is perfect. They'll never find us like this.
We're lost. Someone's been following us.
No. She needs protection.
We can barely feed ourselves.
She comes with us.
They'll kill us all. We're already dying.
It's like chicken.
Yeah, a big black poisonous chicken with no legs.
My wife will never be able to forgive herself. I have to get back.
Go over the Himalayas? How? We walk. Just keep walking.
Yes.
And that's going to be
Yes.
on Amazon Prime, I saw. Let me check to see if it's anywhere else, if for some reason you don't have Amazon Prime.
Fun fact about this, I have almost watched this conservatively 7 times.
Yeah, same for me. So
3 of which it was when it was in theaters. So,
okay, so we've got it's on Amazon Prime. Like I said, it says it's on Hulu premium subscription. I don't know what that means because Hulu's kind of like give in touch with where
Amazon's
you could
like
actually
that
find
too,
it.
where it's just like you gotta subscribe to more channels. It's real dumb.
But if you don't have either of those, you can get it on Tubi, which is free. So
Yes.
there you go.
Yeah, I'm gonna just go on a little rant here for a second. Everyone was just like, "Oh, if we all cut cable, it's gonna be cheaper in the long run." But then all these motherfucking companies, which I knew was gonna happen, created their own streaming service, so it ends up being even more expensive to be able to watch everything
Yep.
than it would be if you just paid for goddamn cable. You goddamn cheapskates.
Look what you did,
And-
society.
And then on top of that, they're just like, hey, we also have this other catalog that you have to pay more for. But look at all these good things in the sexy, sexy catalog, Glenn.
Oh, I'm watching.
Sexy catalog. So all you idiots who are just like, oh, let's cut cable. Everything is going to be on Netflix and Hulu. It's like, fuck you, man.
Yep. It's
Fuck
like
you.
It's like getting a video game and
You're
finding out
the
everything
reason
is
that we have
DLC.
Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, Paramount Plus, HBO Max, Amazon Prime, Hulu, all these other stupid things. It's all your goddamn fault if you just have not cared about paying for cable. And also, when cable companies charge like $30,000 for internet anyway, and only add $10 more to get cable. You goddamn idiots. Anyway, so yeah, The Way Back is our film for next week. It might be delayed a week because I'm going on vacation, but we will talk about it eventually. The Way Back on Amazon Prime. Thank you everyone for listening. As always, you can check out our website, www.keystonefilmreview.com. On Instagram, Keystone_film_review, Twitter, Keystone_film, Facebook, Keystone Film Review, YouTube, Keystone Film Review, and on Letterboxd, I am Mike, KFR.
And I am Glenn, KFR.
And that will do it until next week or next episode, where I talk more about how you goddamn idiots who cut the cable only pushed for further streaming services, which end up being like $300 a month instead of $150 a month. You goddamn lunatics.
And here I am cutting the rope.
Soiled it! Soiled it! Soiled it!
Jesus.
I don't have strong feelings about it, though, that's for sure. Bye.